Welcome to everyone who is joining us. We'll be starting at 4:30. We hope you enjoy the slideshow in the meantime.
Now, when it says 4 people entered the waiting room, just says view. It doesn't have an admit option.
Yes, it does. I'll take, I've got it.
Oh, thank you,
yeah,
Tobias.
okay. Just have to get more.
Tobias is amazing.
Sometimes.
Mine says view.
Depends. Just push me.
I gotta say, this event feels like there's a sort of a UCLA theme going on here.
Go Bruins.
Yay, yeah, really.
I'm out of that. I don't feel that, but that's good that you
Oh, yeah, that's
Dan,
great.
I don't seem to have the option of co-hosting for him, Aaron.
All right, I'll do that when I stop sharing the screen.
Okay, okay.
This is wonderful.
hello, Ann.
Oh, hi, George. Good to see you.
Hi, I see Mike. I know Mike.
Yeah, you
and
do.
Lila.
Yeah,
Hi,
you do. You probably know David O'Shea too, George.
Yeah.
He's here too.
Good to see
Jerry
you.
Vargas is here. Jerry Vargas is here.
hi, Jerry. She'd better be here.
But we're gonna have a talk back after the show.
I need a green room. I need a place to go and be nervous.
So when it says 5 people entered the waiting room, what do I do to let them in?
Tobias will let them in.
I'll take care of it.
Yay,
Okay.
Tobias. Oh, there's John. How fun.
Hello and welcome for all of you who are joining us. We're so glad that you're here. We hope you enjoy the slideshow as we wait. We will start the show about 4:30, but welcome. We're so glad you could make it.
Fran Peach is here. Yay.
Oh, Francis.
These are really lovely to Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had fun putting it together.
Oh, my friend Pete McDonald is here. Whoa, Pete.
Oh,
Hi,
Peter.
hi, Rick.
Hey, Peter.
Hi, Mike.
I guess the secret's out.
Yeah, no, you COVID and all, you can only hide so much.
Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
No,
I was lost. I was
took
lost,
my-
but now I'm found.
You were lost to us. Yeah.
That too. I'm so sorry about that name thing. I had no idea.
Figured it was something like that.
Well, yeah.
Lila assured us that you would be here, Mike.
Yes,
You already were here.
Yeah.
I was here, but I was in
Incognito.
disguise. I was in
Yeah,
disguise.
Oh, there you are.
I should never have joined that damn 12-step program. This is what it leads to.
Yeah. Yeah, you get well. Oh, what a concept.
Right.
Oh, Nomi.
Yeah, I like that picture, Mike.
Yeah, isn't
Thank
it
you.
great?
So does my orthodontist.
It's spontaneous is what it is.
There's a story about that picture I'll have to tell sometime.
Ooh, I should have mentioned something about Story Salon too.
Story Salon.
Anita, hi, Anita.
Hi. How are you, Anne?
I'm fine. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Ah,
Hi, Ann.
hi, Tracy. Nice. Look at you. I'm going to be told when it's 4:30, so. These
We'll
are
be
the
starting in about 4 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Pastor Aaron.
Hi there, Anne.
Hi.
Can you
who's
hear
that?
me? This is Keon.
Oh, my goodness.
Hi,
Keon.
Kian. This is Melina.
Hi, dear Melina. I'm sorry I
Oh,
can't
my.
figure out how to do video,
Oh,
Well, I'm glad you're here.
but I'm
On the-
definitely here and I love you so much, Melina. You're the best. And of course, you're the super best.
I thought I was the best. Oh, darn.
No, you're the super best.
Oh, okay, good.
Hey, Melina, it's Nomi.
I saw your name. I'm so excited you're here, Nomi.
Hi. I was so excited to see your name here because I've been to one of these live and didn't know that you were associated with them or
It's
are now.
my first time, but I am very emotionally close to Malibu Methodist because my children went to preschool at Malibu Methodist, and I have been known to attend church at Malibu Methodist on occasion.
Uh,
And the after
are
school
you still up
program.
north?
I'm still at North, but just between all 62 of us or whatever we're up to, I think I'm
73 now.
moving- Right, I think I'm moving home in around June, and I can't wait. And if we talk about it too much, I'm going to cry and wreck my makeup because I love you guys.
Don't cry.
But it's a happy cry, okay?
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to know.
Yes, we can't wait for you to move back.
There I go.
Uh,
So
tissue?
Kian, if you want to fix your video, it's on the lower left-hand corner, and there's a little start but video stop video button that you can click. That's my only bit of technical advice.
I love this scene, Aaron.
Mm.
I had fun looking at up pictures from the island of Cyprus and trying
Oh,
to
is that
figure out
Cyprus?
which beautiful image I would use.
Mm.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Wow. Yeah, the water doesn't seem possible, actually. Just
Mm.
Beautiful.
Not to
Well,
us.
it's not like that in my section, but my section is sort of more gray. But that's the far that's the section that's near Israel and Lebanon. It's called Ayia Napa, Cape Greco, I think.
David, you're going to have to adjust your screen. We can't see you.
You can't? How about
There
now?
we go.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
There I am.
that's
All
a lot
David?
better. That's
David,
perfect.
Yeah.
why don't you tell our guests actually where you're sitting right now? Because I'm not sure everybody gets how awesome this is
And what time it is.
and what time it is where you are compared
It
to where we are.
is, oh gosh, I think it's 2:30 a.m.
Oh,
2:30 in the
Oh.
morning.
Ouch.
I know, that's okay.
Working the
If I
graveyard
wanna-
shift.
If I want to have any sort of community with anyone other than my wife, who's lovely, then I'm going to be up at 2:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Where I am, I'm in a stone bedroom on the second floor of a house with a courtyard. I'm in this city called Paraklesia that was founded in 5000 BC.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
It's known to archaeologists as the place on Earth that has the oldest tomb of a domestic cat. You know,
Yeah.
so take that, Egypt.
My
You know, I'm about
Wow.
10 minutes from the ruins of a city that was founded by Phoenicians called Amathus or Amathus.
Ah.
There's about 70 miles from us, or 70 kilometers, is a city called Larnaca, where Lazarus, as in come back from the dead Lazarus, after Jesus died, I guess the people in Palestine said, there are people going to kill you, Lazarus, and Jesus isn't going to bring you back, so you better go someplace. And so he went to Cyprus, and he became the bishop of this place about 70 miles from where we are. Citrion, it was called. There's a place about 40 kilometers from me that has a pillar where St. Paul was tied and whipped when he was walking across Cyprus. About 5 miles from me is a Crusaders castle. So it's all this stuff. I try to speak bad Greek, and people will say to me, "Speak English, damn it." I said, "Oh, I really annoyed you."
David,
So-
how close are you to the ocean, to the Mediterranean?
Mediterranean, I'm about 10 minutes. I try to go in about twice a week. Yeah, there aren't many, there aren't many fish where I am. It's overfished, and it's sort of, but there.
How warm
but
is
I-
it?
What?
What's the temperature?
It's like California, a little warmer than California. In fact, the land looks just like California. The
No,
only
I mean the
difference-
ocean temperature.
Yeah, the ocean temperature, I think California is probably around 59 now, and we're probably around 64. And we'll go down to the
chilly,
upper
yeah.
50s. It's a lot like California, except just as California is divided with Orange County and whatever is, politically divided, Cyprus is divided. The top third was invaded by Turkey. So if you go up near there, you see it looks like, picture the Hollywood Hills, but covered with a huge Turkish flag. So it's sort of like these guys mean business, It's an odd place. So
Is
so
that your
that's-
bedroom?
this is my bedroom right now.
I love a
Um,
stone bedroom.
Oh yeah. Yes. No. It's nice. And outside, cats rule Cyprus. I go out there. There's this place called Monastery of the Cats, where the mother of Emperor Constantine, Saint Helena, came out here, and she supposedly said to this monastery, Cyprus had all these snakes, and they said, "Okay, we'll rid you of the snakes by giving you 1,000 cats, but you have to keep feeding them, but not enough, otherwise they won't kill the snakes." And so there's this monastery called Monastery of the Cats. You go there, and it's like a horror movie with cats. So all of a sudden, they come out of everywhere, and they're just sort of looking at you, and you think, "Well, I hope you like me."
Oh,
And
David,
there's some
you have learned a tremendous amount since being there.
Yes, well, that's why I'm still alive, I think. That's just,
Yeah.
you have to
I
learn.
thought cats ruled everywhere, not only Cyprus.
They might, but I didn't know it. And they have great disdain, they'll just sort of look at you, you go, "Shh." They just look at you like, "Are you talking to me? I think you're making a mistake." So that's Cyprus.
But we are so glad that you are here, David, and joining us from Cyprus at like 2:30 in the morning. We really appreciate it. It's about 4:35, and so I'd like to welcome you all to Tales by the Sea. I'm Pastor Aaron from Malibu United Methodist Church, and I am kind of dealing with the tech for you and hosting the tech. But I would love to turn it over to Anne to start us off. Just really quickly, we're going to mute all of you with a lot of love. This
Okay.
allows us to hear the storytellers just a little bit better. At the very end today, we're going to invite you to have a question and answer time. And at that time, you will be invited to unmute or to put in the chat feature that you would like to ask a question. We've disabled the chat for the time being to not distract from our storytellers, but we will open that up later in the evening. And so I'm going to turn it over to Anne to unmute herself and start us off.
And it's thanks to Aaron and to Tabitha that we even have this, because they manage the tech, and this would not be happening without them. I wanted to greet you all this morning for David anyway, with part of an African greeting. Now that you have come, my hunger is gone. So thanks for being here. So we went over that you're going to be muted, and after the concert, the talk back, you might want to know a little bit more about these tellers. So stay around if you want. Now the theme is Wits End today. I wonder if you've ever been there. and how you've survived it. Every end means we can, even must, if we want to continue living with ourselves, must begin anew and take a chance. Now, I love etymology, the roots of words. So I looked wit up, and it was wonderful what I found. One of the meanings of wit is the power of combining ideas with a happy and hopefully powerful effect. So it seems to survive wit's end, we got to use our wit to begin again. I'm going to introduce each of the 6 tellers with a quote that they have chosen. And I want to thank these 6 tellers for pulling these stories together from their lives, because it's a profound piece of work that, that we ask tellers to do for us. So thank you all, tellers, and thank you, listeners. I'm going to share a quote that means a lot to me from George Washington Carver. It is, "I learn what I know by watching and loving everything." Now I want to introduce our first teller, and she quotes Judi Dench in the movie Last of the Red Hot Bombshells. Judi Dench says, "Old people are just young people who've been around longer. Welcome, Lila Silvern." You got to unmute.
Thank you, Anne. My story, spousal benefits. What's your secret for looking so good at your age? The young doctor asked me. Lying about my age, I answered. I'm not as old as my Medicare identification says. My late ex-husband willed me his Social Security benefits. The problem is that he continues to haunt, irritate, and frustrate me with his damn birthday. His birthday was March 17th, 1924, and mine is some years later. When I retired from Los Angeles schools, he told me I was eligible for his spousal benefits. I had no idea of the problems that would ensue. I wasn't entitled to Social Security because of my teacher's benefit, my teacher's pension, and I gladly received the Medicare benefits I felt entitled to for having endured a 17-year marriage to the man. In the olden days, one was identified by name, not phone number or birth date, but times have changed. Now, for my doctors to get paid by Medicare, they must use my husband's birth date. Sometimes I forget and I use my own birth date and I get calls from offices. Silvern, Medicare can't pay you for your visit. We'll have to charge you. Then I have to get on the phone and devote several hours to reaching the right person to explain that I have to use ex-hubby's birthday, which happens to be St. Patrick's Day. Little did I realize that I would continue to be haunted by him even after divorce and his death. For me to get mail-order drugs, I must remember to use the March 17 date. When I forget and I recite my real birthday, the online recorded voice says, "Please hold while I get a representative to talk to you." The human voice is not sympathetic. She cannot deal with 2 birthdays, and now I'm under suspicion and the drugs will be withheld. I will have to go to the local park or the corner of Canada or Mexico to get those blood pressure pills. Meanwhile, my blood pressure is rising. I scream to the voice in Arizona. She tells me there's nothing we can do until Social Security changes the date on Medicare. Oh, I tell her, I went to Social Security 3 times. I waited in line at dawn before they opened. I brought a suitcase full of birth certificates, school diplomas, and other verification of my citizenship and age. The supervisors of the office didn't know what to do. They said they'd call me when they knew, but they never did. I tell her between sobs and pleas. Then she calls her supervisor, and I promise her I will visit Social Security again if I have the strength and am not dead. I want to know her name so she can be sent my obituary. In the old days, when birth dates were not as important as identification, the age difference didn't mean as much. But now, during the pandemic, I worry that hospitals are rationing ventilators. I may be denied one because of my late ex-husband's birth date, which makes me close to 100. Now, with the increase of the coronavirus and the scarcity of hospital beds and care, paramedics are being instructed to use their judgment on who to deliver to the hospital and who is dropped off at the morgue. I may not be able to tell them my birth date. I let things ride for a while, trying to remember which birth date I used at Rite Aid and which one I used at the podiatrist. Then I got a call from Anthem Blue Cross telling me that because of the changes, I was no longer eligible for benefits because I had a birthday listed with them that was different from Medicare. I tearfully explained my problem and was given a reprieve and the opportunity to write a grievance appeal. I did. A month later, it was denied, and I was told once again that I needed assurance from Medicare. This was getting serious. I was at my wit's end. I needed the help of a higher power, not God, who wouldn't stand a chance with Social Security. I appealed to my adopted daughter, who worked for a congresswoman. Her rep sent me a form to fill out that requested help in changing my date of birth with Medicare. Oh, I waited nervously for a month, hoping I wouldn't have a stroke or be in an accident. Finally, I received a call from Social Security. The woman was very kind as she explained, changing the birth date would mean that I would have to pay back an enormous amount of money to correct my status. She recommended that I continue to use late ex-husband's birth date. But Anthem needs to be convinced, I told her. She agreed to a joint call. The first Anthem phone rep listened to my story and said, please wait till I talk to my supervisor. Terrible music played while we waited. He came back and said they couldn't help me. I demanded we talk to the supervisor. I promised that I would use late ex-husband's birth date on everything connected to the medical plan, which is paid by the LAUSD retirement funds. I was almost in tears and about to threaten this man with another personal call to my congresswoman in Washington. He finally agreed. I thanked my Social Security helper, who had now become my best friend. As for problems that may ensue, if I'm in an auto accident or a coma or suffer a stroke, the only solution may be a bracelet or a tattoo on my body with my real birthday, March 3rd, 1933. I'm just wondering where to put it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lila. I guess you were at your wit's end.
Yes.
I'm glad you survived.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our second teller. He quotes Dr. Kent M. Keith from the Paradoxical Commandments. The quote is, "All the good you do today will be forgotten by others tomorrow. Do good anyway." Welcome, Rick Hall.
Hi, everybody. When I was 14, the youth group, my youth group from the First Baptist Church in Jerseyville, Illinois, was going to take a big trip to St. Louis, Missouri, to a big youth rally. And we had rented a bus for the occasion. And to share the cost of the bus, the Methodist youth group in town was going to go with us because this was an ecumenical youth gathering. Okay, Aaron, you understand ecumenical? It means that all religions can come to this, even wild, crazy religions like Methodists, you know. So we didn't know anything about the Methodists, but we were scared of them. And somebody started a rumor that the Methodist kids were really wild. Aaron, I forgot you were a Methodist minister when I started this story. Okay, I'll keep going though. So, you know how rumors, gain momentum. Well, by the time the day arrived for the trip, we were so scared of the Methodists, we stood back while they all got on the bus, and they went and sat in the back of the bus, and then we sat up in the front. And when I got on the bus, I noticed that one of the girls from our youth group, Cynthia Becker, was sitting alone. Now, Cynthia didn't come to the youth center on Fridays and Saturday nights, and she didn't come to church all the time. And when she did, she kind of didn't talk to anybody. And she was really cute. So that combination of cute and not talking to anybody, everybody thought she was just stuck up. But as I saw her sitting there on the bus all alone, I thought, you know what? I don't think she's stuck up. I think she's just shy. And what she needs is a friend to sit with her for the hour-and-a-half bus ride down to St. Louis. And I was willing to be that friend. Did I mention she was cute? Really cute? Which I think might have been at the core of my Christian compassion. So I sat with her and we talked for the first half an hour. It was great. I talked. I mean, she didn't talk, but she's shy. I understood. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give her a break. We're just going to sit here. And she was looking out the window, and I'm 14. I've never held a girl's hand before, but I thought, you know what? I think now's the time. I just get a feeling, I go by my wits and my little farm boy charm, and I think it's the time, but I'm going to wait for her to make the first move. And finally, after about 10 minutes, she does. She puts her hand on the seat in between us. Yes, my friends, that was the first move. So I put my hand on the seat near hers and then slowly slid my hand over until the side of my hand was touching the side of her hand. She did not pull her hand away. That was a good sign. Time to move to phase 2. Phase 2 was, and I really did this, I took my pinky and started rubbing the back of her hand, caressing it very gently. And little quiet, shy Cynthia turned to me and she said, "Oh my God, Ricky Hall, are you trying to hold my hand?" No, I just bumped you. I didn't. Okay, everybody heard it. The Methodist in the back of the bus, the Baptist up front, the youth advisor, the bus driver, cars around us. I was mortified. I don't remember anything about that day down in St. Louis at the youth rally because the whole day I was just paranoid that people were talking behind my back. There goes Ricky Hall. Be careful. He's a hand holder. That night, after it was all over, I got back on the bus and all the kids mixed up, it was ecumenical now. All the kids were mixed up in sitting with each other, but not me. I sat alone in the middle of the bus and I was looking out the window and I remember thinking, I'm 14. Up until now, I've gotten by on my wits and my farm boy charm, my chubby little farm boy charm, but my wits had failed me today. I was wrong. Cynthia didn't want to hold my hand. I was horribly wrong. I'm heartbroken and I was just crushed. And then I heard somebody over my shoulder say, "Can I sit with you?" And I looked up and it was one of the Methodist girls, and not just one of the Methodist girls. It was the cutest Methodist girl on the bus. Matter of fact, she was cuter than any of the Baptist girls too. She was ecumenically cute. So I figured, she probably hasn't heard of my alleged hand-holding charges. So I looked up at her and I said, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" She said, "Ricky, can I sit with you? You know my name?" "Well, you're still wearing your name tag." "Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Sit down. She sat down with me. Her name was Mary, and we hit it off immediately. both of us talking and telling stories and laughing at each other. It was great. And you know, when you're 14 and you think you get by your wits and your grit and your charm, but really what pulled me out of my depression, that deep, dark well, was hormones. Yes, it was hormone. They're great medicine, my friends. So we were talking, and then after a while, it got kind of quiet. And that was okay because we were so comfortable in each other's presence. We were comfortable in the silence. And I was looking out the window thinking how much better things were. And I felt something touch the side of my hand on the seat. And I looked down, and it was Mary. Her hand was right next to mine. And I thought, it's a trap. She wants me to reach over and try and hold her hand. And then she'll go, oh my God, Ricky Hall, you're a hand holder. And then everybody will know and I'll go to hell. So I just sat there, and she took her hand and she slid it on top of mine, and she gently caressed my hand. And this went on for like 2 minutes before I finally took a chance and said, I think she really wants to hold hands. So I turned my hand over and we held hands. Oh, this is the first time for me to hold hands with a girl. This was great. And I mean, by holding hands, I don't mean like in a prayer circle when you hold hands with your minister or your buddy or something. No, our fingers were interlocked. Our fingers were doing it. Yeah. We held hands and just sat there in the dark bus. It was great. And then the bus pulled into a McDonald's parking lot. The youth advisor got up and said, all right, kids, you got a half an hour. Get in there, get your food, eat, get back on the bus. And all the young Christians piled off the bus, except for Mary and I. And we're sitting there, and I said, well, I suppose we should go in and get some food. And she said, you know what? I'm kind of tired. Maybe I'll just stay on the bus. It never occurred to me that she would want me to sit on that dark bus with her. No. I said, well, you know what? Maybe I'll go in and get us some food. You want me to get something? I figured now that we're dating, I should offer to buy her dinner, you know? And she said, no, you know what? Would it be okay if I just shared your food? Yes, that would be okay. Not just okay. That's what couples do. Couples who hold hands like this can share food. As I started to leave the bus, she said, Ricky, hurry back. Oh man, I ran off the bus. I cut in line. I said, I need a fish fillet, fries, chocolate milkshake to go now. And I grabbed the food, ran back on the bus, sat down with Mary, opened the bag. Before I could even pull the fries out, she leaned over and kissed me right on the mouth. It was not everything I had hoped it would be. You see, for all the hype about how wild these Methodist kids were, Mary didn't know how to kiss. Yeah, poor thing. She missed my mouth. She missed my lips completely. Her lips kind of went over mine. And I thought, oh, honey, this has got to be embarrassing for her. I'll give her a second chance. So I leaned in for another kiss, and it happened again. She missed my lips. And I thought, oh, I don't want this to be a bad experience for her. So I'm going to try one more time. Third time's a charm. But this time, you know what? I'll open my lips a little bit, so she'll get the idea. Okay, this time our lips met. And it was great. And it lasted. I'd never had a kiss that lasted before, you know? And then it got better because Mary opened her mouth a little bit more and my brain exploded. I had heard about French kissing before, but I never dreamed that one day I would be doing it with a Methodist on a church bus, for crying out loud. Oh, you know what? In the Baptist church, we talk a lot about what heaven's like, but nobody really knows, you know. But you know what? I know what heaven is. It's French kissing a girl for the first time. Time stood still. I don't know how long we were French kissing, because when you're French kissing, nothing else matters. Then all of a sudden, kids started getting back on the bus. So we broke our embrace, and I grabbed the fish fillet and she grabbed the milkshake. Nobody knew we were kissing. And we finished the meal as the bus drove back to Jerseyville. And when we got done, Mary leaned over and whispered in my ear, fish fillet is my favorite. Oh, I was good. When we got back to the church, all our parents were already lined up there in their cars waiting for us. So we didn't get to have that last kiss goodbye, but that's okay, because I just had the most passionate evening of my life. I couldn't imagine it could get any better. And Mary and I never saw each other after that. Well, we saw each other around town, but we were never together because I think we both knew we couldn't be together. We were fated to not be together, like, like Romeo and Juliet, or the Hatfields and the McCoys, or anybody from Love Island. We couldn't be together. I mean, everybody knows a Baptist and a Methodist would never make it. Thank you.
Oh, Rick, thank you. You know what impressed me at first was that you could sit with her in silence, and you were only 14. I mean, that's hard for us to do now sometimes.
Oh, I was breathing hard, but I could sit with her.
You were breathing hard. Thank you, Rick. Okay, our next teller, and isn't it just the best thing to be able to share friends like this? Our third teller says, the best part of waking up is waking up. Here's a friend, a cousin, Michael Jackson.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. I didn't realize I was going to be on with such heavy hitters, but I'll do what I can do. When being at wit's end is mentioned, what comes to mind for me is when my wife and I were young and she was 5 months pregnant with our first child. According to some research I had done, I was convinced a worry-free pregnancy would be good for the unborn child and the mother. So I made it my goal to protect my family from all stressful input. However, at the same time, my parents were starting to decline. So I resigned from my county job to give my parents more attention and attempt to save our family business. It was a heroic concept that wasn't working out. I was in an embarrassing and difficult position. The situation drug on and nothing was really clicking for me. My father's customers preferred doing business with him, but he was not available. The business was not profitable with me running it. The customers were disappointed when they missed an opportunity to interact with my father, who was a gifted salesman and loved his customers. I remember feeling like an elf trying to run the North Pole without Santa. I tried, but the shop was still hungry for something that I didn't have. It became a financial drain, and at times, because of the neighborhood, I feared for my life. I continued to push, and when I took inventory of my life, I saw that everything I cared about was a source of worry and dread. I asked myself, what was next? It didn't take long for that question to be answered. I got a call from my wife while working at a second job, and she told me that there had been a fire at our house. I raced towards home, imagining the worst, speeding and watching for cops. When I arrived at home, I took the parking space that became available when the fire truck had pulled away. Curious neighbors were crowded near my front door, apparently to get a good view of what had happened. My wife was strong, but seemingly in need of being cheered up a little bit. Fortunately, the damage was not as bad as I had imagined on the drive home. Our floor furnace had started the fire, and somehow the firemen came to our house without being called. So the damage was kept to a minimum. The only evidence of a fire you could see from outside was a pile of debris that was left from the firemen doing their work. My wife had one request. She wanted the debris out of sight. Hoping it might help her to feel better, I went to work making trips from my front door to the alley and then it started to rain, gently at first. But since I wasn't wearing proper rain gear, I started getting wet. My main defense from the rain was squinting my eyes and hunching my shoulders. It wasn't long before I could feel water running down my neck onto my back, which made me feel more uncomfortable than ever. The rain intensified, and in short order, I was saturated. I had no dry places left on me. With nothing left to say, there was no reason to squint or hunch. Once I was totally wet, it was pretty similar to being dry. At the same time, I reached the saturation point mentally. Everything I worried about had materialized. And instead of feeling defeated, I felt a feeling of well-being wash over me. I was at my wit's end. I felt powerful and fearless. I think the pressure I was under and the duration caused my character to crystallize like a gem. 4 months later, our home had been repaired and we were blessed with a happy, healthy baby boy. He's grown now and lives in that house with his wife. And so that's all I have on that, but I do have something else for you. What I'm calling it is the bright side of a dark situation. I didn't buy IBM when it was cheap. I didn't see electric cars coming. However, I did keep my children's baby teeth, toys, and class projects. I have been called a pack rat and a hoarder by people who don't know the difference. I always saw the potential value of artifacts from everyday life when it comes to storytelling. I thought of myself as a curator, not a pack rat. My collection is bracketed between World War II and this pandemic. My collection is eclectic and wide-ranging. For me, it's like a trail of breadcrumbs that I can follow back to where my life began. When I'm locked down or in quarantine, I have plenty to entertain myself with. My plans are to share my collection online with the stories that go with them. The space where my collection is on display, I call a reminiscatorium. Please pardon me while I gloat. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
We can,
Okay,
Ann.
good. Thank you, Michael.
that was lovely.
You know, I reached a point like that at one time too, Michael, when my wits were at an end and I finally just gave up. And that's when things turned around, when I gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that, when you get to your wit's end, that's where God's waiting. And there's a Psalm, it's 107, verses 23 through 27. And they talk about the wit's end. And, that's actually, a jumping off place for when for me, the circumstances I was dealing with, I felt as though my intellect had been defied. So there's obviously something needed other than what I could do.
Yeah.
So from that experience, from that day, like my life has been on an ascendant since then.
That's beautiful, Michael.
Thank you.
I'm glad you shared it. Well, Michael, it's Psalm 107, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Psalm 107. Okay, just in case people were wondering.
Yeah, I guess it's verses 23 through 27.
Well, I like those wisdom texts. They matter a lot to us.
Mm.
Our fourth teller is up now. And let me see. She's currently in Chico, California, but she's going to be moving here this summer back to Los Angeles. She's going to be the incoming Santa Monica Mountains watershed coordinator. Hooray, Melina. Her quote is, she might want to give another one, but I'm going to give you this one too. Sometimes the adventure outside is on the inside.
Oh, that's fine.
Welcome, Melina Semple Watts. Here you go.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, we're good. Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me, Anne. And when I first connected with Anne and she told me the theme was at wit's end, immediately a story came to mind that was about me being what I'm calling at heart's end. And for anyone who's struggled with sorrow or grief or depression, I feel like when we are at our heart's end, inevitably that becomes our wit's end until we kind of process, right? So the story I'm about to tell takes place down in La Jolla. I spent my freshman year at UC San Diego before I transferred back up to UCLA. And when I started, when I went down to university, I had just come out of this school, Marlboro School in Los Angeles County, which was an all-girls school where, frankly, I didn't do terribly well academically, but I learned a ton and I had these amazing, brilliant, very close, intimate friendships. And you have 3 years of people who are amazing in your face every day. It's a magical circumstance. And then the way American society is set up, particularly if you've got like pressure to excel academically, the idea is that kids think they're supposed to go off to college or university elsewhere. So I was the only person in my immediate friend group who stayed in California. Everybody else went to the East Coast. And I found that moving from Los Angeles to San Diego was so culturally different from me that I felt, there's a French word for it, dépaysé, like disconnected from your own country, disraciné, like out of your, unrooted, right? Like, and so I was also hoping to be, to go into medicine, and it turns out I'm terrible at math, and that's like a deal breaker, right? So I didn't have a sense of purpose. I didn't have my friends. I probably was, genetically predisposed to just depression. And I just couldn't figure out why to keep going at all, right? And I wasn't making friends very easily at UC San Diego. I had a wonderful roommate, but she was going to be gone for 3 or 4 days. And I came back from class and there was no mail, no letters. This was before emails. And I didn't have a cell phone or a phone. And I just couldn't figure out why to keep going. The sun was setting and it was like aesthetically beautiful, but emotionally it was just desolate, right? And I just couldn't face going back to the dorms. Like I could hear music and laughter and it just felt like there was none of it for me, right? So I'm walking back towards my dorm and there's this big field of grass. It's the 4 dormitory buildings are built around this giant quadrant of very conventional looking lawn. And I just thought, I'm not gonna go inside. And I lay down on the grass and it was sufficiently down that it was hard to breathe. I don't know if you've ever felt that where your heart hurts and you just, like each breath is an effort. You're having to consciously choose to live just every next second, right? And in that moment, and I'm like thinking, well, I can't do myself in because dad loves me. So I'm holding on to that. But it's when you have to pull the dad card, it's bad, right? So while I'm lying there in front of me, I feel this one little tiny piece of grass, and it, for lack of a better word, it felt into me. It felt my heart, it felt my soul, and it felt compassion. And it, I can't really explain what it was like. It wasn't words, but it emoted at me, and it wasn't actual light, but it felt like someone pushing light into your chest. It was just the most remarkable gift. And I kind of startled because I was like, I'm talking to a grass, and the grass, I could hear it now, said to the 2 grass next to it, oh my goodness, there's a human animal right in front of us and she's struggling, she's going down. You got to help her. And so the next 2 pieces of grass also sparked a bit of light at me. And at this point, I was like shocked, but delighted and kind of unsure. And all of these little 3 pieces of grass turned to the next ones next to it and said the same thing, which also responded kindly at me. And it went from 1, 2, 5, 12, 75, 100, 1,000, 10,000. Literally the entire field of grass, all in different directions, was pouring love into me in these little tiny sparkly shards of light. It was the most emotional thing I've ever experienced. I was ecstatic. I was loved. I was overjoyed. I was honored. And I was trying to give back and say, thank you. I'm here. I'm here. I'm back. I'm giving back to you what you gave to me. Right. So I lay talking back and forth with this grass for hours until it was so cold I couldn't stand it. And it was dark and all the music was off and everybody else had gone to bed. And I said goodnight to this grass, all of it. And I kind of walked off to bed feeling like I was kind of not really even touching the ground. It was so amazing. And I lay down to sleep and I thought, I don't even know how to tell people what just happened. And I'm like, is it real? Is it true? Am I don't know, right? So this stayed in my heart for about 10 years. And it buoyed me up over and over again over many years. So cut to the chase, 10 years later, I'm in this horrible job with a boss who screams and yells and cusses that's gone through 10 assistants before I showed up, but I'm tough, so I could take it, right? And there's no light in my cubicle. It's the 6th floor with no windows in Westwood. And he's gone off to, I don't know, Spagas, which was Wolfgang Puck's restaurant in Beverly Hills, on a Friday with new clients. So I know there's going to be a lot of wine and he's probably going to close the deal and he's going to be happy and go home. So I'm kind of free for the afternoon, although I don't have to go home to bed, right? At 6 o'clock, I have to leave, but I have to stay and just sit there for hours. And so I have time in this oppressive place. And this grass came at me and said, you know your purpose. And I thought to myself, what is my purpose? I mean, what are you talking about? And all of a sudden I remembered connecting to trees in the redwood trees in a similar fashion, different language, but same emotion. And I had this idea that I could tell the story of a California live oak from the point of view of the tree. So I ended up writing this book, and the book that I wrote is really because of that field of grass. It was my effort to say thank you. So thank you for listening. And, the more I choose to talk about my relationship with plants, the more I found out other people also have plants in their lives. So if this evokes a tree or a plant that's cherished you in your life in talking, I want to hear about it after. So thank you.
Oh, Melina, thank you so much. I'm so glad you came with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank that field of grass. Thank the earth. Okay, we have our next teller. You have to hunt to find this man. He zooms in from the island of Cyprus, where he's been living for 2 months in a village founded circa 5000 BC. His quote is, "Feel the fear and do it anyway," as his Irish grandmothers might say, "Shame the devil." Here we go. We found you, David O'Shea.
All right, thank you all. I drove a taxi in New York City from 1977 to 1985. This is a true story from that time. I'm driving south down 7th Avenue, crossing 34th Street, searching for a Penn Station fare to take some of this 8:30 to 10 p.m. slack time when Midtowns and Broadway shows are having dinner and the streets are slow. It's 9:15 p.m. I've been working 5 hours. I have 7 hours to go. I'm chain smoking Salem, shrugging off doldrums, tired of fighting for fares. I wish I could get a long fare out of Manhattan, away from the fight, I think. I look down 7th and I see there's already a line of 4 cabs waiting in front of Penn Station on the Madison Square Garden side. So shit, no luck there. But across 7th Avenue on the east side, in front of the Statler Hilton, there's a young black man standing on the sidewalk talking to a checker cab that's parked at the curb. The checker turns on its off-duty lights. The young man stomps his foot, walks to the front of the checker, circles to the street, and raises his arms. I look in my rear view. There's no one behind me. Good. I hit the gas, cut over 3 lanes to his lane, pull up next to him and stop. He lowers his arm, walks to my window. He's a young man, mid-20s. He wears a high school varsity jacket, blue and red. I'm smoking a Salem thinking, the Bronx or Brooklyn, I hope. Bronx or Brooklyn, Bronx or Brooklyn. Give me a long trip. And he says Brooklyn, and I say, sure. Ah. Then he says East New York, and I wince. That's the heart of ghetto Brooklyn. Run-down tenements, broken streetlights, junkies, gang shootouts. It's where crime goes for a cup of coffee. I look him up and down. Well, he's not high, he's not drunk, he looks okay. I'll lock my doors, I'll watch my back, I'll be fine. And I'll get out of Manhattan. Slow, fight your way, cut everyone off to catch a fare Manhattan. My pleasure, I say. Get in. I smile. See you later, Manhattan. Later when the streets come back to life. He opens the door, slides in the back. I swivel in my seat, look through the partition. He's straightening out his varsity jacket. He wants to look presentable. He's sweet. Hello, I say. He looks up. Hi, soft voice. Where to in East New York? My aunt's house. I don't know where his aunt lives, I think. That's East 95th and East New York Avenue, right in the heart of the ghetto. We're gonna celebrate. I just completed a karate competition in Madison Square Gardens. I won my first match, but then the second match, next one, the man, he wiped the floor with me. Good thing I have a hard head. Knocks it with his knuckles, giggles. A lot of information early in the ride. Yeah, sweet though. I laugh. My aunt, she made me a cake. We're gonna celebrate. Okay then, I said, let's take you to your aunt. I stub out my Salem on the side of the taxi, drop the butt in the street, start the meter, drive forward to the corner, 30th Street, turn left into the shadows. That other cab driver, he says, he didn't want to take me, but you did. Thank you, sir. Sir. Nobody calls me sir. Buddy, cabbie, driver, asshole, you cut me off, you fuck. But nobody calls me sir. My pleasure, I say. I smile, light up another Salem. I turn right on Broadway, head downtown. He's gazing out his window. He's moving his head back and forth like he's listening to music. He's smiling. He's so happy. Face a little old to be wearing a high school jacket, I think. So what? He's a sweet kid. Hey, I say, he looks around. You know, in high school, I was in a judo competition, nothing so great as yours, but it was important to me. He leans up to the partition window, he listens. I said, my first match ever, I fought my friend Bill Cox. I flipped him with his ogoshi and I win. And years later, Bill Cox gets invited to join the Shaolin monks, like in Kung Fu. Yeah, he nods, he knows the television show. Anyway, I get back to my corner. My coach says, you fought like a tiger. And the whole team's going, yeah, Tiger Dave. And I think to myself, Tiger Dave, I'm all puffed up. Next match, I fight a green belt, inch taller than me. Green belt throws me 10 seconds, smashes me into the mat, the end. No more Tiger Dave. And we laugh. You felt bad, he says. Yeah. I never fought again. You gave up? Yeah. You didn't fight again? No, I did. You beat the monk, though. Yeah, say, yeah, I beat the monk. Thanks. I turn left on Canal Street, head toward the Manhattan Bridge. Tiger Dave? Yeah. My name starts with D2. What's your name? Danny? Well, nice to meet you, Danny. We head over the bridge to Brooklyn. Once over Brooklyn, head through downtown East Flatbush, Brownsville. Danny's telling me how he likes marble cake. and how his mom wants him to come home, but he's not going to come home. He's going to stay with his aunt tonight. He's going to celebrate. And all the time, Brooklyn's getting poorer and poorer and poorer around me. After 20 minutes, we arrive at East 95th and East New York Avenue. There's one dim street light, 4-story buildings recessed from the sidewalk. They're once grand. Now their carvings and their gargoyles are covered with grime and soot. Garbage is on the sidewalks. Okay, Danny, we're here. Stop the meter, $12.10. Danny stares out the window. This ain't it, he says. What? This ain't it. What do you mean? This is East 95th, East New York. We close. I remember now. It's by PS 156. PS means public school number 156. What, are you sure? Nods. PS 156 by PS 156. I turn on my dome light. I search my paper maps, find PS 156. I can't make out the street, just the neighborhood. That's okay. I'll ask once I get there. 4 minutes later, I'm driving up a narrow street, projects on my right, towers of ghetto buildings, 20 people partying on the sidewalks ahead of me. They're drinking beer, smoking pot, dancing to boombox disco, killing time. Danny, I said, lock your doors. He does. And I check mine, they're locked. I slow to a stop by a bus stop bench where a thin teenager's striped t-shirt is sitting. Every head turns toward me in the cab. I roll down my passenger window 2 inches. Excuse me, sir. My heart's racing. T-shirt comes to my window, sees Danny in the back, winks at him. Danny's in a fishbowl. He's just looking out. Excuse me. PS 156? Is PS 156 around here? PS 156, yeah, T-shirt said. It's just over from the back seat. Danny says, PS 114. What? I double take. Danny, you said PS 156. PS 114, Danny repeats. He's staring toward the seat in front of him. PS 114. Striped T-shirt laughs. He crazy, man. You stuck with a crazy motherfucker. And I think, oh shit, maybe he's right. T-shirt turns to the crowd. Cab driver got a loony man in the back. Don't know where he wants to go. He crazy and the cab driver lost. Everyone laughs. Bounce. Man sits on the trunk of my taxi. Bounce. 2 men on the hood. Oh shit. I put the cab in gear, ready to take off. And then a deep voice, leave that man alone. Middle-aged black man pushes T-shirt from my window, big stomach, short sleeve white shirt. Get off the trunk, off the hood. Men slide off, bouncing the taxi again. He leans to the window, sweat dripping from his face. Cab driver, PS 114, Remsen Avenue near Flatlands. Go to the corner, make a left, look it up on your map, but not here. You got to leave. Give the man room, he calls. I take my foot off the brake, I ease forward. People pointing at me and Danny, laughing. I go beyond the crowd. Glass bottle lands in front of my taxi, smashing. I speed to the corner, turn left to a street light, no one around. I check my map, find the school, and I drive there. And there is nothing there, nothing alive. Low industrial buildings that won't come awake until the morning. It's desolate. I stop in front of a darkened school. Sign says PS 114. Where are we, Danny? Danny looks out the window. This ain't it. God damn it, Danny. I knew you would say that. Now I am angry and you have made me angry and I don't want to be angry with you because you're so sweet. But what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Danny's silent. Do you know your aunt's phone number? I don't know. Do you have any money? I don't know. But how are you going to pay me? My aunt's going to pay me. No. There is no aunt. Danny, give me your wallet. Why? Give me your wallet. I'm going to look in, find out where you live, and I'm going to take you home. He passes me his wallet. It's brown, worn. There's a stencil of a pony on it. I open the wallet. There's $3 and a folded slip of white paper. I unfold the slip and read, block letters, Danny's mom, and a phone number. I drive to a phone booth 2 blocks back under a streetlight in front of a warehouse. No one's around. That's good. I cut the engine, grab some dimes, jump out, dial the number. Do, 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 do. Woman answers. Yes, tired voice. Hello, are you Danny's mother? Silence. Hi, I'm a cab driver and I'm with Danny. And she hangs up. No. I put in another dime. Dial again. Phone rings. Hello, Danny's mother? She hangs up. Another dime. Dial. She, please, Danny's mother. I'm just a poor cab driver. I've been driving around with Danny for an hour. $16 on the meter. I don't care if you pay me. I just need a place to take Danny where he's safe. Please give me your address so I can take him there and I can get on with my night. Please. She sighs and she gives me address on Foster Avenue. I say, oh, thank you. I'll be there in a few minutes. She hangs up. I go back to the cab. I pass Danny his wallet and he's slumped in the back. His jacket is rumpled. She mad at me? She's not happy, Danny. Start the engine. You ruined it. You ruined everything. I don't care, Danny. I don't care. I drive to Foster Avenue. Streetlights are out on Foster Avenue. So I drive slowly looking for addresses, come to a triplex on my right, recessed back from the street 20 feet, 3 doors, 1 door's open. In the light of that door is a silhouette of a woman. I stop, I call out my window, Danny's mother? Yes. I cut the engine, get out, circle to Danny's door, open it. He does not move. Come on, Danny, come on, you gotta go, come on. He leaves my taxi. He does not look at me. He trudges past me down a short concrete path to the front door. I lock up the taxi, follow. Danny's standing in the doorway in front of his mother. He's looking down. Neither talk. She's in her 40s, dark purple dress, once handsome, I think, but now there are deep creases in her forehead, crow's feet. Danny walks between his mother and me into the apartment. Danny, his mother says over her shoulder, Danny, we're gonna have a talk. And he freezes in the room, elbows out. Odd. He's a good boy, I say. He didn't mean any harm. He never does, she says. How much I owe you? The meter reads $18.50. God damn it, Danny. I'll get your money. Come in. She goes into the apartment, walks down a hallway. I enter the living room, purple sofa to the left, stuffed chair to the right, toy soldiers on the floor. And Danny's frozen in the middle of the room. His arms are bent at the elbows at odd angles, as though he's a toy himself, a wind-up toy, a marching soldier, and the spring broke in him and left him mid-march. He does not move. He holds his position. All the light is gone from Danny's eyes. They are glazed, withdrawn. I walk up to him and whisper, I'm sorry, Danny. If he hears me, he does not show it. If he sees me, he does not show it. He's in a different place, I think. A place where he won't be yelled at. A place where people really will want to see him. A place where he's about to compete in a karate match and he still has a chance to win. His mother returns, hands me a 20, and the cab driver in me wakes up. Cab driver Wolf still wants a little tip, but I think, no, that's not gonna happen. I count out $1.50 change. She takes it, she walks me to the door. I turn to say goodbye, and she says, "You gotta forgive Danny, please. He gets lost." 3 simple words, and I feel my heart crack. She closes the door. I hear through the door, "Danny, Danny, what am I gonna do with you?" I stand in the shadows. I can do nothing to help him. I can think of nothing I can do to save him. All I can do is witness and remember this moment when Danny, his mother, and I have come to wit's end. Thank you.
Oh,
All right.
David, thank you. Oh my. This takes a moment. Let's see. Our next teller is a gentleman whom I don't see nearly enough of. He's closing our concert. He quotes Oscar Wilde. "Life is too important to be taken seriously." Welcome, Mike Lambert.
Thanks, Ann. Hi, everybody. You can hear me, I hope. I love that quote, and someday I hope to actually believe it. Okay. I went to the Grand Canyon in spite of myself. I'm not a nature person. I don't really get it. My idea of roughing it is when the hotel room has no minibar. And I go on a hike once a week. I don't understand hiking, but I go because I'm lonely these days. And so I go with a group. I don't know why they call it hiking. To me, it's walking on dirt. And I don't really get the appeal, but people seem to like it. I don't dislike nature. I like to look at it. I just don't like to be in it. I like to look at it, maybe like through a window, in an airplane, something like that. In fact, I saw the Grand Canyon many times crossing the country in an airplane. Or maybe through a window in a hotel, a luxurious, lovely hotel room that someone else is paying for. Because I'm also cheap. And my cheapness plays a part in this. Because my hair cutter, my barber, Jeannie, she told me one day, she knows everything about me because she's a barber. And she told me that she knows my age, and she knows that I qualify to get a senior citizen pass for the U.S. National Park System. Hold on here, I'm setting my timer because I could go on for 37 hours. I've been so isolated. Yeah, she said they were having a sale on these passes. And if you were old enough, you could buy one, a lifetime pass, assuming, of course, that you don't have that many years left, for $20. And it would get you into all the national parks, any national park you wanted. I had no interest in going to a national park. The only park that really interests me is Central Park, and you don't need a card to get into there. I think you need a card to get out of it sometimes. But I couldn't pass up the bargain, $20 lifetime pass. So I bought the card, and it came in the mail, and I put it on my dresser, and that was that. But every time I went by it, it would sort of attract my attention. And it wasn't long before I started thinking about Mrs. Pirtle. Mrs. Pirtle was my 6th grade music teacher at Berkeley Hall School. Berkeley Hall School was a Christian Science school in Beverly Hills. And yes, I was a Christian Scientist. I have the acne scars to prove it. And Christian Scientists don't believe in tetracycline is the thing, just a sideline. They also don't believe in smog, apparently, because we would play at lunchtime at Berkeley Hall School, and we would play hard. Soccer at lunchtime, flag football at lunchtime, or in my case, jacks. I usually play jacks. And you can work up a sweat playing jacks, just want you to know that. Not so much from the playing, but from running from the boys who chase you to make fun of you after you're done playing jacks. So there was exercise involved. Anyway, we would all be, despite our Christian Science, we would be wheezing and coughing and our eyes watering by the end of lunchtime, and we would stumble into Mrs. Pirtle's music room. And Mrs. Pirtle did an amazing thing. She would lead us, she would turn out all the lights, she would close the Venetian blinds. The room was very cool and refreshing. She would have us close our eyes, and she would lead us in a guided visualization, which was a miracle because it hadn't been invented yet. And she would put on this record of Ferdi Groffet's Grand Canyon Suite, and we would listen to it. And she would narrate it. I see some of you having visceral reactions to that song, which I will have to talk later. She would talk through it, and she would say, well, this is, hear that sound? That's the hee-haw of the mules. And do you hear that sound? That's the clip-clop of the hooves going down the trail. And hear that sound? That's the ominous rain clouds are coming, and the rainstorm, and the lightning, and the thin ray of light coming through the clouds, and the sun emerging at the end, victorious, harmony restored. And I'm telling you, by the time she was done and that song was done, 36 smog-ridden kids, including me, were suddenly okay. Not so suddenly, it was gradual, but we weren't coughing and we weren't wheezing and our eyes weren't watering. And I experienced a calm, a deep, wonderful calm that I really had never known before. I got muted, sorry. Am I okay? So yeah, we experienced this calm, and well, I had never experienced it before, not in my house. In my house, it wasn't that my parents didn't like music. It was just, they played music. It was just that you couldn't hear it because of the yelling going on. So in Mrs. Pirtle's class meant a lot to me because I got to just calm down. Anyway, that's what gave me the idea. So I started looking into mule rides in the Grand Canyon, and I learned a couple of things. One thing is, they're expensive, very expensive. To go down on a mule to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and spend the night and come back is about $650. And two, you have to be very motivated because it turns out there are a lot of people that want to go on these mule rides, and they're all in my age range. And I don't know, I don't know if Mrs. Pirtle was moonlighting, but there are a lot of people out there that want to take this mule ride. So you have to do a lottery. It takes a long time. I entered once, I didn't get in. I entered the next year, I got in, and I got a date for October of this past year. So I was set. The year went by, the pandemic hit, but I go anyway. I'm by myself. I'm on this long I-40 all the way to Arizona. And I'm wondering, why am I doing this? But I paid for it, so I have to do it at this point. Arizona welcomes me in spite of the pandemic with open arms, open elbows, it's more like it, but they were open. And I drive and I drive and I drive and I drive. And I turn left at Williams and I drive and I drive and I drive and I drive. And I get to the gate of the Grand Canyon and I don't have my card because I'd left it on my dresser. It's still on my dresser, but the guy lets me in anyway. So I figure some things are going okay. I drive up the hill to the hotel where I'm staying. I search for a parking spot because I'm telling you, all these baby boomers are there with the same idea that I had. I get a parking spot and I go to this wall that looks like it overlooks something, and there it is. There it is. It is an ocean of rock as far as I can see in all directions. And it is so, indescribably, flagrantly, almost decadently there, in full disregard of what a human spirit is capable of taking in. It almost defies you to look at it. And my brain stopped working, which was great. I hadn't felt that way probably since Mrs. Pirtle's music room. You can't think when you look at something like that, which is wonderful for me anyway, as an overthinker. I couldn't describe it. It was just this, like I said, this ocean of rock with this amazing geological audacity that you just couldn't fathom. And you could feel the time, because you're seeing 1 billion years worth of layers of sediment. And even though I have no degree in geology, but you don't need one, you can see it and your body feels it. And it was amazing. Later, I made it to the hotel. I sat by a window and had dinner, looking at it through the window, which is my favorite method, of course. And my brain started to function again. And I thought of all the conversations I've had. Oh, damn, I'm out of time already. I thought of all the conversations I had with my friends about, does God exist or does God not exist? And if God exists, what is God, and all of that? And it all seems so ridiculous. It all seems so ridiculous. Because really, who needs God when there's this? It was incredible. I have to telescope inward a little bit so I don't keep you here all night. The next morning was the mule ride. I met my mule, Vista, and it was me and 3 ladies. And frankly, I didn't think they looked so horse-worthy. So I was a little worried about them, but I knew I'd be fine until I tried to mount Vista. And I realized, you know, once you hit a certain age, your body just starts laughing at you. And, you know, my leg was not really going to do that over the top of the mule thing. But they helped me and I got on. We went down 10 yards into this 4-mile trip down the canyon. I had another epiphany. I realized what this journey was all about. As we started walking along the trail, this journey was going to kill me. It was going to kill me because I was going to fall off that mule and down that cliff and die. I was certain of it. Anyway, I'm going to shorten this. I made it. I made it. And so did the 3 women with me. They turned out to be the macho ones. They were the Clint Eastwoods. I was like Blanche Dubois, totally fish out of water, but I did my best, but I made it. Here's the thing, and then I'll leave you. Turn that off. We got to the bottom, we got to the cabin. I had a saddle sore the size of New Jersey, but it didn't matter. And I had time to hike. I hiked down to the Colorado River from the cabin. This was in the afternoon. We got down to the base about lunchtime. And on my way back to my cabin, I passed the corral where they keep the mules. Now, I was feeling really bad about my mule Vista because they say that if you're scared, you lean in towards the top side of the hill and it confuses the mule and they get all messed up. And I know I was doing that. They kept yelling at me to sit up straight and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I had to lean in. But I liked Vista. And I came back and all the mules were there kind of congregating in the middle. And I called out to Vista and Vista saw me and Vista came over to the rail where I was. And we hung out there together. We just hung out there together. And I scratched his face because I knew he liked that because I'd seen him rubbing his face against a tree trunk earlier in the day. So I scratched his face and we just stood there. Now, I know it's easy as a human being to attribute human qualities to animate and inanimate objects that aren't really there. I get that. I totally get that. And it's actually not cool to do that. But I'm going to tell you that I felt really good to be there with Vista. And I think Vista got me. And what I realized was Vista didn't care that I was afraid. He didn't care. He didn't put conditions on how I had to be to make him be all right. And I stood there with Vista for a good long time. And I felt okay. I don't want to read much more into it, but it felt very good. I love that mule. Stephen Sondheim wrote a line in Into the Woods that goes, "Oh, if life were only moments." I had a moment with this guy. If life were only moments, even now and then a bad one. But if life were only moments, then you'd never know you had one. You know, I just had to go back to Anne's quote because this is how it felt with Vista. Now that you have come, my hunger has gone. So I had a moment with Vista in spite of myself. Thanks.
Mike, we can all unmute now, by the way. Everyone in the audience can. Mike, I just want to tell you, you can't give me that hogwash anymore about not liking nature.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget this. Oh, Mike. Oh, Mike, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody was wonderful. Thank you, Anne.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you, Anne.
going to turn it over to Pastor Aaron now to back. So y'all can chat with yourselves. You can. Aaron will enable your chat, and we can talk. We're done with the story. So I'm going to check out while Aaron takes over. Aaron, oh, there you are, Aaron.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you so much to all of our storytellers. I laughed, I cried. I don't know about all of you, but they were all beautiful and amazing and very touching. So thank you so much. If you are able to stay, we would love to have a time together where we can ask questions of the storytellers. If you have any questions, I've enabled the chat feature, and so you can let us know if you would like to say something. You can just unmute and get my attention, or you can put it in chat as well. Ty says, thanks everyone. You guys were so much fun and insightful. Gail says, thank you all so much. Enid says, love the stories. I'm so grateful to you all. If you would like to follow along what's going on in the chat, you just click on the chat button on the very bottom of your screen. But I just want to open it up for any questions that you might have for our storytellers.
I'll turn on the video. So interesting.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, George.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to Rick Hall, you mentioned Jerseyville, Illinois. And I'm from Minnesota, but the first girl I ever kissed happened to be from Jerseyville, Illinois. Her name was Sue Sandberg. I don't know. Do you happen to know a Sandberg family?
Oh, come on, George. Everybody kissed Sue Sandberg.
Yeah. This is at Bergie's Acres, a summertime resort in Wisconsin. Her family, my family happened to meet in Wisconsin there. And in fact, later, my family, we went down to see Sue Sandberg in Jerseyville, Illinois, and we drove down to St. Louis. Other than that, I wanted to mention to Melina Watts and Mike, my friend Mike Lambert. Yeah, being out in nature. The story about being in the grass, I can really relate to being overwhelmed by, as Mike says, maybe we don't need God as long as we have the Grand Canyon or the redwood trees or the the White Mountains in New Hampshire, or the Grand Tetons in Colorado. Thank you. I love the stories about the beauty of nature.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much, George. From Barbara, she says to Melina, one of her favorite quotes from the Talmud is, "Every blade of grass has its own angel that bends over it and says, grow, grow." Beautiful story, Melina. Thank you.
Great quote. Thank you.
Marianne has a question for David.
Yeah, I do. Hi, David. I'm from New York as well. And I had a question for you. Did you have any other cab rides that were in bad areas? And did you have a guide that helped you again another time? Because New York is full of areas and full of neighborhoods. So I was just wondering.
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, the whole job of driving a taxi was like trying to stay alive. You didn't even know it. You know, I was young enough that I kept thinking, oh, everything was a close call until it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know New York. You know
Yes,
New York. You
I
know there are amazing things that will save you. Just when you think everything's gone, the amazing things that will save you, and just when you want everything to save you, like with Danny, everything is gone.
Right.
It's somebody's called it the greatest unwritten poem in the world. So that's what I think. Thanks for asking. Oh yeah.
You're very
No,
welcome. Thank you for
take
explaining.
care. Sure.
Thank you. You gave us New York street by street as you were telling your story. You built New York as you were talking, and Danny in the back. It was just incredible. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's an honor to have known New York and to
Wow.
still love it. Okay. Thank you all.
David, I just wanted to add that I was born in East New York on Pennsylvania Avenue and lived on Tapscott Street. And at that time, it was Jewish Italian.
Yes.
That was 1948 to about mid-50s. But I went back in the 80s, and it was quite different, and so as you described it. And I was just curious, what years were you a cab driver?
I was a cab driver in 1977 through 1985, what some people call the golden age.
Yeah.
But you know, it was it's when you drive through Times Square and there was no Incredible Hulk. I still look at them when I go to Times Square. I thought, I wish I had a cab and I could run them all down and just go, get out of here. You don't belong here. New York, you know.
Pre-Disney.
Pre-Disney. Disney. I mean, pre-$15 cocktails. But I say to people, if you want to know New York, sometimes just go stand someplace in the city and take a deep breath and let your feet take you someplace. And they will. And they'll always take you on an adventure that you don't expect. So it's the greatest, it's the closest place to my heart I can think of. Closest, it's the best place on earth. But thanks a lot. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much for.
Your story about Danny was just incredibly moving.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I think it touched all of us.
I was in tears for sure, and I saw other people in tears.
Oh, well, good. Thanks so much for listening. God
There
bless.
is a question in chat, David, of how did you get to be in Cyprus?
Oh, I married the right woman. I followed before that. I was in Bermuda for a while, and I think I'm supposed to be on islands. I would like to be back on the island of Manhattan. There's something about the islands that, you know, is all bound up and everyone has to sort of work together, or I think everybody goes together. But yes, Cyprus. My Greek is bad, and I have Greek shopkeepers yell at me, speak English. So, just like New Yorkers would yell at me when I first moved there from Ohio, and I'd ask for a regular. I say I like a cup of coffee. They say regular, and I said, yeah, not decaf. They go regular. I said, yeah, regular coffee. They said regular. That means cream and sugar.
Regular. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But David, this village you're living in is from 8400 BC, not 5000.
Yes, 8400.
Modernized it.
Whoa.
That's right. But I think it was 8400, and then some people moved out and they moved back in 5000. I don't know, but I don't know. There's still probably someone here from 8400. The people look real old and wear black clothing. So I've been talking too much. I'll shut up now. But thanks everyone. Thanks for thinking of Danny.
There was a question in chat for Melina as to the name of your book, and she put it in chat. It's Tree, and anyone who is interested, it looks amazing. I love the story about that connection with the grass and that moment that you have. But she put in the chat feature a link if you are interested in that book to be able to get on Amazon. Is it Kian?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank Anne and all of the great speakers. This has been a trying time for so many of us, and to be able to relate and talk to people like this is just fantastic. And I'm so grateful that we are videotaping this for everyone to see at some point in the future. And these speakers have been remarkable, absolutely remarkable, every single one of you. And thank you for sharing so much joy and personal stories that really touch all of our hearts. Thank you so much again, Anne, for arranging all of this as usual. You're amazing. I do miss your vegetarian soup, though.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to Anne. She does so much to arrange all of this and keep this going. And we are all so grateful to her. And I'm glad that you brought that up. We are recording this Tales. And I confess that for some reason, our Zoom had been equipped to hold 500 people. And for some reason, it only allowed 100 tonight. So we do recognize that there may have been people who were not able to join, and our deepest, most sincere apologies for that. We're going to look into it so it won't ever happen again. But we did record it, and we will be putting this video on Malibu United Methodist Church's on YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube, and the whole video will be there. So if you hear of anyone who was not able to get in, please let them know. We will bring the video to the storytellers to get their final permission, and then we will post that and let everyone know. So thank you.
I just
Thank
want.
you.
Oh, go ahead. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Kathy.
Okay, I'm new to this whole thing. This is my second time of listening, and I just have to thank all of you, starting with Rick. And they were hysterical. Okay, I could not stop laughing. I just thought, I mean, there was some sadness and so forth built in too, but I just got so much entertainment. You guys are fabulous with your vocabulary and your expression, and it was just a real good time. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
You, Kathy. We have a question from Ashton for Michael. Thank you so much for your story. Was there ever a moment in that pouring rain when you just wanted to go back inside and get dry?
No, I didn't do that, because part of it for me was like, hoping to make my wife feel secure, and that was part of my motivation, because just writing about it, I realized that at the time I felt grown up, but we were actually still growing up, and I was doing everything I thought a good father and good husband would do.
And that was your wife, Tony, the one you were doing it for, Michael.
Yeah.
And we just celebrated 46 years of marriage.
Oh,
Oh, congratulations. How wonderful.
That's nice. Michael, I could tell that you were a good husband and a good father through the part where you were going through the rain and the part where you got completely saturated and the part where you felt okay with it all. All of that told me you were a good husband and a good father.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to ask Michael, what is your, when you talk about being the curator, what is in your collection? Because I want to see it.
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of things. I had brought this. I don't know if you can see this. This is like a transistor radio.
I remember those.
Yeah. Well, when I got this transistor radio, I said, you know, where can it go from here? This must be. And I remember feeling smarter than my parents because I had a transistor radio and they
That's a great memory. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and so getting back to what's in my collection is I have the original TV that my dad bought. I think we got it about 1950. And I don't know if anybody else is old enough to remember when this would come on TV.
Oh, yes. Yes. To sign out.
But you know, the thing about it, there's so many things that, I think, with everything being modern, there are a lot of skills that people don't have anymore because, when cars had carburetors on them, you had to know something about starting a car that was coal or with a battery that was going down, and there's so many things that happen automatically now that, you used to have, it was some sort of skill that you had to develop, because when you're starting a car with a weak battery, you have to, know by the sound how many more times it'll crank before it starts clicking, that type of thing. I've got all of the candy and beverages and stuff that we used to have when we were kids. I got, slingshots, marbles, BB guns. Yeah, Oscar Mayer wiener whistles, all that stuff.
Oh, Michael.
You have a rotary dial telephone? Because I saw some kids try to use a rotary dial telephone. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, well, when I was dating my wife, I bought her this fancy French phone.
It was rotary dial.
It was a rotary dial. And so the rest of the family probably hated me for it because it was pretty noisy when I called over there.
So,
Sorry, Anita, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Mike, so were you terrified the whole time down the canyon? And it's that I've always wanted to do, but I don't think I could take it. So how did you take it?
It's pretty damn scary. And part of my story I didn't have time to do was that it got better, but there really was a moment after about halfway where I stopped trying. This is really important too. I stopped trying not to be afraid. I just said, screw it, I'm afraid. And I'm staying. They gave me a chance to turn back and I said, no, I'm gonna do it. And when I said, screw it, I'm just gonna be afraid on this trip, the fear really did lessen a lot. So if you do it and you're terrified, you could try that. You just go, fuck it. I'm scared out of my mind, but I'm in.
That's the ticket, Mike. You lose your mind, so you can go ahead.
That was my wit's end.
I totally relate.
Anita, I'm sorry. Anita, you seem to react a lot when we talked about the Grand Canyon Suite, so I'm curious.
It's just, it was my favorite piece of music in my teens. Everyone else would
Oh,
do the
Mhm.
Beatles, and I would turn on the Grand Canyon Suite. I just
oh,
loved,
cool.
yeah, it was great.
It's very cinematic.
Yes.
Bright Sue has a question for Rick Hall about the story structure.
Thank you, Erin. Rick, how I got here because I got an email from you and your wife. Thank you very much for that. And your story is wonderful, wonderful. I enjoyed it very much. And all 6 stories are beautiful and made me think of the shape of the story and a term by a famous Kurt Vonnegut, if you know the author, and has a phrase, pyramid structure, something like that. And there are quite some details and 2 major goals out there, and how you design your story arc and what kind of detail you take in, what kind of detail you trim out or something like that.
Oh, thanks. I do think about the actual whole story arc. It's just pretty traditional, beginning, middle, and end, but build to it, but care enough about the characters along the way, and know enough about them that that you want to see where they end up. And I guess the key to my story is my wife is my editor, and she'll say, you don't need to say that. You don't need to say that. That just get to it. Because really, we wanted our stories around 10 minutes. And Mike Lambert, you know what I mean? I could just go on. I could have made that a 20-minute story. And then the hard part is keeping it down to 10 minutes or around that. But thank you very much, Bright. I appreciate it. And thanks for responding to my emails.
As a Methodist, I thought it was pretty funny.
It's so funny. I didn't even think about that until I got into it. I'm like, oh, I'm talking about how fast these Methodist girls were. And not till I was pretty deep into it, I went, I had to say, Erin, you know what I'm talking about, baby.
It was a great story. It was a great story.
Thank you.
Well, friends, we thank you all for coming. I don't want to cut anyone off if there are any additional questions you want to ask. But if not, thank you for coming and sharing this time together. And we will hopefully get the video up onto YouTube in probably about a week or so. So we'll try to send
I'd like to say one thing before you finish, and that is that the one thing I totally get on Zoom why you need to mute the audience, but I was so sorry that people couldn't hear me laughing because I tend to laugh really loud. And so that's the one thing that must be hard for the readers, to not hear the laughter or hear the tears or hear whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, Erin, I wanted to say, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. Our next one is April 18th. And live streaming might be in our future. So you can still watch from home, and we might have a limited number of live audience, but that's in the future. Pastor Aaron and Tabitha are working on that, but I'm so content that we can still Zoom and people don't have to drive and what have you, and we can still talk. I mean, it does work for me. So at any rate, I want to, thank you again.
Say the date again, please.
Oh, it's April 18th is the next details. And I just wanted to thank you again because these stories enrich all of our lives. And I was reading something earlier about how we need a variety of cultures in our lives. If we stay in our own little box, that's all we know, and we can become so easily threatened by people outside of the box. So it's so good to use stories to be able to, not only spice up our lives and entertain us, but to acquaint us with other ways of seeing the world. So I just want to thank you for being here, everybody.
And one
Okay.
additional
Ann.
thing, there was really quickly, there was a question about our upcoming Poetry by the Sea, and that will be February 28th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So keep your eyes out for that as well. Also a wonderful time together to hear poets, and we always have an open mic at the end for you to share your poems as well.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, Rick.
I just would like to say one thing, and that is, and you make it seem like it's not that much work to get all these people together. And you and Aaron, you always curate a great show. And it's such a
Yes, yeah.
pleasure to be on your show. So
Mhm.
thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, Aaron, for all your work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Really.
Rick.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm just going to add, I've been so homesick and it's so delightful to party with you guys in Malibu. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Melina. You'll be back in the summer.
I'm coming home. I'll see you guys soon.
Yay!
Wonderful. Hooray. Good
Thank you,
night,
Ann.
everybody.
Thank you, Aaron.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.